My son Kalen sent me a text. It said, "Mom, we need some space. Kids are busy, we're busy. Let's take a break." I read it 7 times. My own child was putting me in a timeout. That afternoon, I canceled the cruise tickets I'd bought for our family vacation. By dinner, he'd texted 12 times asking why the booking confirmation was canceled. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're from. This is a story about a line drawn in the sand. And honey, I brought the whole beach. 3 months ago, I was what you'd call available. Always there. Scratch that. I was a convenience. A free babysitter, a last-minute chef, a human safety net. My husband, Silas, passed 8 years ago, leaving me our cozy little house and a comfortable life. Comfortable enough that my son Kalen and his wife, Jessa, could both work their big jobs while I raised their kids. I spent my days at their house, making meals, doing laundry, helping with homework. I thought I was being helpful. Turns out I was being used. The signs were tiny little paper cuts, but they added up. Kalen stopped asking how my day was. Jessa would leave lists of chores on the counter like I was the help. My grandkids, Ilara and Finn, 8 and 10, saw me as part of the furniture. They'd hug me hello but then run to their parents for the important stuff. But I ignored it. I believed family was everything. I thought being needed meant being loved. What a fool. The week before the space text, I'd spent 3 days sewing costumes for Ilara's school play. She was playing a sunflower. My old fingers ached from pushing the needle through the thick yellow felt. But I did it. I brought them over, so proud. Ilara tried it on. "It's itchy, Grandma," she said, and took it off. Jessa tossed the costume on a chair. "I'll just order one online," she said, not even looking up from her phone. That costume sat on that chair for a week. I finally threw it away. The next day the text came. "We need some space." Just like that. 23 years of raising my son, 5 years of dedicating my life to his family, ended with 7 words. I sat at my kitchen table for an hour, just staring at the wall. I had rearranged my entire life for them. And my reward was to be dismissed. Like a maid who'd done a bad job. That's when something inside me just snapped. I didn't call him back. I didn't cry. I got up and I called my friend Marigold. "Marigold," I said. "I need a new life. Right now." She whooped with joy. That night, instead of making their dinner, I went to a movie. By myself. I ate a giant tub of popcorn for dinner and I didn't share a single bite. It was glorious. The next morning, I uninstalled the tracking app they made me use for safety. My safety net. I just cut the rope. Took 4 days. I was planting new flowers in my garden, my hands dirty with soil, when my phone rang. It was Kalen. I let it ring. He called again. And again. By the 5th call I was smiling. Where was this urgency when I needed a simple thank you? The 6th call came with a text. "Mom, are you okay? The kids have soccer practice." Not "Are you hurt?" Just "The kids have soccer." I finished planting my marigolds. The calls kept coming. 7, 8, 9. By bedtime, Kalen had called 15 times. Jessa had called 3. The voicemails started polite. "Mom, just checking in." Then they got worried. "Thea, we need to know the kids' schedule." Then they got angry. "Mom, answer your phone. This is ridiculous." The last message, left at 10 p.m., was from Kalen. "Mom, I'm sorry about the text, okay? But we need you. Ilara has a recital tomorrow." Need. That was the word. They didn't miss me. They needed my free labor. I turned off my phone and slept like a baby. The next morning, there was banging on my door at 7 a.m. I took my time making tea. I could see Kalen's car in the driveway. Opened the door. Kalen looked tired. Jessa was tapping her foot on the welcome mat. "Mom, where have you been?" Kalen demanded. "We've been worried sick. The house is a mess, the kids have no clean clothes, we're going to be late for work." I sipped my tea. "Good morning. Did you have a nice week of space?" Jessa pushed past me into the house. "This isn't funny, Thea. We need you to come over today. There's a mountain of laundry." I looked at her. My name is Mom. Or Thea. I am not Hey You. And no, I won't be doing your laundry. They both stared at me like I'd grown a second head. What are you talking about? Kaylin said. You love watching the kids. I love my grandchildren, I said calmly. But I do not love being taken for granted. That text you sent. It was the best thing you've ever done for me. It set me free. I walked to my calendar. Let's talk about my new rates. Rates? Jessa choked out. Yes. For babysitting, cooking, and house management. My time is no longer free. The silence was so loud. Kaylin sat on my couch, his head in his hands. Mom, we can't afford to pay you. You know that. Then I guess you'll have to figure it out, I said pleasantly. Like every other family in the world. I pulled out a notepad. In the last year I have spent over 2,000 hours at your house. That's a full-time job. I've driven over 5,000 miles for your errands. I've cooked approximately 1,095 meals. And you know how many times you said, thank you. They were silent. 17 times, I said. And 14 of those were from the kids. The numbers hung in the air. The deal is over, I said. You wanted space. You've got it. Permanently. Jess's face was bright red. You can't do this to family. I looked right at her. I'm not doing anything to family. I'm finally acting like family. Family respects each other. Family appreciates each other. You treated me like a servant. Servants get paid. Or they quit. I stood up. I'm going to give you one chance. One. They both looked up, hopeful. For the next 30 days, you will treat me with respect. You will ask me how my day was. You will remember that I am a person with my own life. You will say please and thank you. If after 30 days I feel like a grandmother and a mother, and not an employee, we can talk about me helping out sometimes. But never like before. Kaylin's face lit up. He thought this was a game he could win. We can do that, Mom. Absolutely. But, I said, holding up a finger, if I feel for 1 second that you are faking it, that this is just a show to get your free nanny back, then it's over forever. And I mean forever. Jessa looked dizzy. What are we supposed to do tomorrow? We have to work. I guess you'll have to take a day off, I said. Or find a backup plan. You know, like the space you wanted. They left in a daze. I closed the door and did a little dance in my hallway. The next 30 days were going to be a masterclass in faking it. The performance began immediately. The next day my phone rang. Hi, Mom. Just wanted to call and see what you're up to. Kaylin's voice was like syrup. I was pulling weeds. Oh, just gardening, Kaylin. How are you? Great. Hey, the kids made you a card. An hour later a picture came through. It was a card with a crooked heart on it. The handwriting was Jess's. Broke my heart. They were using my grandkids as pawns. The next day they surprised me with lunch from my favorite deli. They'd never remembered my favorite order before. They sat in my living room, asking forced questions about my friends. It was painful to watch. They were terrible actors. A week in I found out the truth. I ran into Jessa's friend, Bianca, at the grocery store. Thea, she said. I heard you're having a bit of a crisis. Jessa said you've been feeling lonely and acting out since we stopped coming around as much. The potato chip bag in my hand crumpled. She said that. Oh, don't be embarrassed. We all get a little eccentric as we get older. She said they're just humoring you until you come to your senses. I thanked Bianca and left my cart right there in the aisle. They weren't trying to win me back. They were making fun of me. They were telling people I was a crazy old lady who was throwing a tantrum. They were waiting for me to come to my senses and return to my unpaid job. The anger that filled me was cold and sharp. They wanted to play. Let's play. I started my own plan. I signed up for a pottery class. I joined a book club. I made my life look fantastic online. Pictures of me with new friends, my art projects, my beautiful garden. I was living my best life and I made sure they could see it. Then I called Kaylin. You know, I said sweetly. I've been thinking. Maybe I was too harsh. Let's have a family dinner this weekend. My treat. I could hear his smile through the phone. That's great, Mom. We'd love that. See, everything is going back to normal. Yes, I said. Normal. I didn't just make dinner. I hired a caterer. I set the table with my best china. I wanted everything to look perfect. Kaylin, Jessa, and the kids arrived all smiles. They thought they'd won. They thought the vacation was over and the servant was back. We ate and they performed their fake appreciation perfectly. After dessert, I stood up. I have an announcement, I said. They leaned in, ready for my surrender. This week, I put a down payment on a condo in Florida. Their jaws dropped. Florida! Kaylin shouted. But what about us? What about the kids? You said you needed space, I said. I'm giving it to you. An entire state's worth. Jessa stood up, her face white. You can't be serious. We need you here. No, I said calmly. You need my free help here. There's a difference. And I heard you've been telling people I'm eccentric and having a crisis. The color drained from Kaylin's face. Bianca told me everything. You weren't trying to be better. You were trying to wait me out. Well, time's up. I looked at my beautiful grandkids. I will always be your grandma. You can visit me in Florida. We'll have real fun. No laundry. Then I looked at Kaylin and Jessa. But the free ride is over. You have 60 days to find new childcare solutions before I move. My time is now my own. The drive home was so quiet. But my heart was singing. Some lessons have to be learned the hard way. I finally learned mine. I am more than just a babysitter. I am free. Thanks for listening to my story. Don't forget to subscribe to Anon Voices and share your own stories in the comments below. Your voice matters.